Now I'm going to show you, this is Stephanie Washer again, and I'm going to show you how to use Packet Tracer. And this is Packet Tracer version 7.3.1. I have it already open up. This is just a generic opening up. We have all of our information up here that we can use. I don't really use it very often. We can send packets across the network once we have everything up. We have our logical versus physical. We have all sorts of information we can change. Real time versus simulation. Generally, I just leave it on logical and real time. That's generally what I do. I just leave it there, or whatever the packet tracer has that I want it, whatever they want it to be. So that's generally it. On the bottom, if you want to create your own packet tracer, you are more than welcome to do this, and you can create your own networks. If you have a network you want to set up, you can actually set up the routers and switches and export the configurations into live equipment. So you can actually set it up on here, and then you can export the configurations into your own equipment. At the bottom left hand here is where you can start adding your devices. So we have network devices. So when you click on network devices, on the bottom you have routers, and you can switch over to switches, and then you have hubs, wireless, security, and WAN stuff. So you can change things with that. End devices, we have basically, if you just click on end devices, it gives you everything you need. But if you do home, you can do smart hub. You can really get complicated with Packet Tracer. We do not get complicated with Packet Tracer in Cisco 1 and 2. You do not have to create complicated packet tracers. You do not have to know everything about it. You just need to know enough to navigate and get around and program everything. So I'll show you that in a second too. We've got components. You can add components if you want. We don't generally, it's just network devices and their routers and switches. Network devices, router, switch, and then end devices, our PC or laptop or server. The other one that's important is the connections. So the lightning bolt, and you have all sorts of different connections. We have console cables, which is how you're going to connect to a switch or router to program them. We've got our straight through cable, and we've got crossover cable, we've got fiber, phone, coax, serial, and we've got two ends to the serial cables. In the past, we used to use the serial connections. We don't so much anymore. So, everything's fiber now, so it's more like fiber and Ethernet. All right, so what we can do is I am going to move this to one side of the screen, and I'm going to bring up this. So I made that too small, didn't I? In our curriculum, if you go to modules, and if I said take a hands-on lab and turn it into a packet tracer, you would have to go into the course, and let's load it. Excuse me. For some reason my throat's really dry today. And I am going to, let's make this bigger. And I'm going to go on the course index here. So in the upper right hand corner, it looks like a bulleted list. When you click on course index, you can uncheck everything. And then I said lab, so you can click on labs. But the other item that you'll end up doing here is packet tracers as well. So 237 and 238 are basically the exact same lab. One is a packet tracer and one is a lab. So if I pull those up, it's going to kill two birds with one stone, and we'll be able to go through and look at that. So navigating the iOS, this is the PDF for that assignment, but then really all you have to do is download this packet tracer, and I would save it first and then open it is what I would do. I would save it first, then open it. Otherwise, you're going to have issues saving it, and I've just had too many students have issues with it. So save it first and then open it, and then I'm going to open up the lab. So here's the hands-on lab. So first things first, we're going to look at the hands-on lab. So this hands-on lab tells us it tells us to use a router, and you can see down here, a router, a switch, and a PC. But what I want to do is, in here it says PC and switch, so I'm just going to emulate that right now. So it's a 2960 switch. So I click on End Device over in Packet Tracer and on Switches. And then there's 2960 is just right there. And I just click and drag it up. And then for PCs, I click on End Device, click on PC, and drag it up. If I want to add that router and just throw it off to the side, it's a 4221 router. And maybe I'm blind, but I do not see a 4221 router. Could just be me. I'm going to put a 4321 up here. We're going to just set it up above. So now we have our devices that we need. We're going to need a rollover cable. It says mini USB, but that's if we want to throw a laptop up there. So we're going to use connect a Cisco switch and computer using a rollover console cable. So I need to go back down here, click on the lightning bolt because that's cabling. The blue one is console. And so I click on blue, that baby blue, and then it's RS-232. Do they say that in the instructions? They do. So on the PC, you click on the PC and you click on RS-232. So you connected that end in. And then on router or switch, it's very easy. You just click on console. So that is the console cable. That is not an internet connection. That's only for programming the router or switch. And I can actually click on that little thing and change it over to the other. And if I want to switch it back. So that console cable, even in the classroom, you can move the console cables all over the place. So, and then it's going to have you go through different things. So it's going to tell you what to do as you scroll down, and it's going to have you look at the basic display. So this is just creating a basic console. If you wanted to network something, you could go in and get to the PC, and I clicked on the copper straight through cable. It's the solid black line, and then I'm going to click on Fast Ethernet, and I'm going to plug into the first port. The problem is, there we go. So now you can see we've got the console cable, and then we've got this Ethernet cable that's green on the PC side because it's on all the time. And then eventually that orange will turn green because switches, by default, all of the ports are on. If I were to do this for the router, let's see, let's go to port 2, and then we're going to go to a gig port here. It's red. It's because the router, you have to turn on all of the ports. So you always have to do a no shut, and that will be something that we'll talk about again in the future. So see how this is both green? These aren't even going orange. These are just red, and that's because the router side is down. So that's kind of a quick version of what goes on in Packet Tracer and how to create one from scratch. So if I wanted to, I do want to save my work. And I never want to let it save in the spot that Packet Tracer wants me to save. I'm going to go down and save it into my Cisco folder. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the course. Oh, I shouldn't have gotten out of there, but let's close some things out. So I'm going to go back to the modules, probably. My internet's taking a minute here. Back to course content, load it again because I got a little ahead of myself. Back to the Packet Tracers, and it was 237. So again, I'm just showing you this again. Right above 237 and all of the information for it, it shows you all of it's got some videos, it shows you all the hotkeys and shortcuts. I will have some, that's for next week. This is module 2. I will have some cheat sheets and videos on how to do all that. So download Navigate the iOS. And remember, this one is a PDF and this bottom one is your packet tracer file. So you want that packet tracer file, and I'm going to open it. And this is why I say I never use the shortcut on the desktop for the packet tracer. If you open up packet tracer for the first time, you'll have to log in. And on this one, you can see it's flashing at me down here. I need to have a user profile, so I'm just going to put my last name. Yep, it's going to reset. Basically, when it asks to reset, it's just resetting the time down here. So two things pop up. We have our directions pop up, and then our packet tracer. So this is packet tracer 237. You will have to do this for class. It will be an assignment. And you're going to connect the PC just like I showed you before in the other one. And so you'll go through and you'll follow all of the directions as you go down. If the directions are not in the packet tracer, they will be in your curriculum above where the packet tracer is. So they will be in that curriculum. The other good thing is the book that is, I put it as required because financial aid will pay for it, but that book for the CCNA 7 Introduction to Networks lab book, that has all of the labs in it. So that is the good thing about this, is all of the labs will be there. So in this one, the packet tracer is already up, already set up for you a little bit. What we need to do is we need to connect PC1 to S switch 1 using a console cable. So we need to click on the lightning bolt. And remember, the baby blue is our blue console cable. PC1, it says connect it to the RS-232. Always on the PCs, you're going to have to connect to the RS-232 connection. It's a serial port. So now the console is connected. Now we click on the PC. It says click PC1 and select the desktop. And so desktop and then terminal. Make sure everything's set to default. Well, you'll have to check with your curriculum to double check that, but this is, I'm telling you now, this is all the defaults. And if it wasn't set to the defaults, it probably wouldn't work. So once you click in it, this is what it looks like. So this is what programming a router switch looks like. You know, it looks like an old DOS screen. This is what it looks like. Somebody has already programmed this because usually it says switch instead of switch 1. So somebody has already changed some settings. And then you're going to go through here and you're going to explore the iOS for help. You're going to explore the exec mode. I abbreviate everything, so you'll find out that when I do videos, there'll be abbreviations, but you type in enable to get to the next mode. You cannot do much in this mode, the enable mode, but once you get into privilege exec mode, the one with the hashtag or the pound sign, that has many more things that you can do. So that is where you're going to go. And then beyond enable mode or privilege exec is global configuration mode, and it's configure terminal, but I never type in configure terminal. I always type in config T. So, and they have you here configure because you can configure more than just terminal. So just go ahead and follow all of the instructions. You set the clock, you go back 1. So when you're in configure terminal, you can't set the clock there. You have to go back 1 and exit back into that. Whenever you get something that interrupts your line, you just hit enter and it will bring you back to the line. So there you go. You'll get started on, and honestly, I think most of you, anybody that's computer literate can go through and follow these instructions for 2.3.7. So if you want to get started on 237 early, you are more than welcome.